obligations don't equal the risks. We have to take those things into account so our kids can also enjoy agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further response, the member from Essex.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm pleased to add comments on behalf of our party on the Family Caregiver Leave Act, a bill that was presented in the last session and died with prorogation. A bill that New Democrats originally agreed with the intent and the premise of the bill, which is, of course, to enshrine protection in the Employment Standards Act for those family members who are seeking to leave to provide care for those within their family who need it. It's something that I think is a generally accepted point of view, something that we think should be a given, really. If you took the scenario as to whether a family member, a parent would need to quit or leave their job if a child was critically ill, that should be a given, that any employer would extend that type of a leave to a family member. What this does, of course, is enshrine that into law. What we're concerned about here, Mr. Speaker, and what we'd like to see addressed at committee is some other measures of flexibility within the bill that address, I guess, the changing need and the demographics where, it might not be that family members need to take a full week off. They may need to, in fact, take 2 or 3 days at a time, or a Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or Friday, to provide just small amounts of care to a demographic that we know will need it. And as we struggle to address the important issues of home care and support for our elderly population in this province, I would hope, again, that the government take those considerations seriously. Mr. Speaker, I look forward to seeing this work its way through committee, and look forward to adding our party's additions to it. Thank you.
Further responses, the member from Trinity Spadina.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And I want to congratulate the Minister on her new portfolio. It is good that we finally have something to talk about, because for 4 long years I introduced changes to the Condominium Act, and for 4 painful long years each minister that was in that portfolio said the system is working. And I remember the Attorney General, who was then the minister, who said the system is working just fine. Other ministers said the system is working just fine. And they were all wrong. The system was not working and we needed changes. So we finally have one. And we've begun the review. The Lord can be merciful from time to time. And that review is on the whole okay, but I got to tell you, I got some problems with what's not there. And what's not there is the following. Tarion, the agency that deals with warranties, is not even mentioned. It is an agency that is controlled by developers, and there is not but one mention of Tarion and the influence of developers on that agency. Not one mention. Secondly, there's reference to tribunals, but only reference to a tribunal, and in order to get consumer protection, we need to have a tribunal where people can go to when they have a grievance to get a problem solved. And that's a serious oversight in my view. The third is that there is no mention of bad development or bad developers. They are absolutely missing in that review. How can we protect consumers when we don't talk about it all about bad developers and bad development? So I'm looking forward to making sure that we address those 3 in particular as we do the ongoing review. Thank you.
Thank you. It is now time for petitions from the member from Durham.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to present a petition from the riding of Durham that reads as follows. I'm actually looking for it. Here it is.
Do you want to read mine in?
The United Senior Citizens of Ontario has expressed its concern over the high cost of parking at hospitals in Ontario on behalf of its more than 300,000 members. And whereas thousands of Ontario's seniors find it difficult to live on their fixed income and cannot afford these extra hospital parking fee costs added to their daily living costs. And whereas the Canadian Medical Association Journal has recently said in an editorial that parking fees are a barrier to health care and an additional stress to patients who have enough problems to deal with. Therefore, we, the undersigned, petition the Legislative Assembly of Ontario as follows: that the Ontario members of Provincial Parliament and the Kathleen Wynne government take action to abolish parking fees for all seniors when visiting hospitals. I'm pleased to present this to Jessica, one of the pages in their last few days here.
Petitions? The member from Kenora Rainy River.
Thank you, Speaker. I have a petition here that's signed by over 600 people from the Northwest. It reads as follows: To the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, whereas the process popularly known as declawing is actually an amputation of a cat's toes that is both painful and unnecessary, whereas research has shown declawing a cat significantly reduces a cat's quality of life and leads to both behavioral and health problems, whereas declawing cats removes a cat's natural defense and leaves them helpless in situations where their lives may be in danger, whereas most reputable cat shelters have a no declawing policy due to the permanent damage it causes, and whereas the process is considered to be an inhumane act and is banned in many jurisdictions, we, the undersigned, petition the Legislative Assembly of Ontario as follows: to ban the unnecessary and inhumane medical procedure known as declawing in the province of Ontario. I support this and will be giving this to Paige Jasmine to deliver.
Thank you. Further petitions? The member from Leeds Grenville.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have a petition to the Legislative Assembly of Ontario that reads as follows. Whereas the price of gas is reaching historic levels and is expected to increase another 15% in the near future, yet oil prices are dropping. And whereas the McGuinty-Wynne government has done nothing to protect consumers from high gas prices. And whereas the high and unstable gas prices across Ontario have caused confusion and unfair hardship to Ontario drivers, while also impacting the Ontario economy in key sectors such as tourism and transportation. And whereas the high price of gas has a detrimental impact on all aspects of our already troubled economy and substantially increases the price of delivered commodities, adding further burden to Ontario consumers. Therefore, we, the undersigned, petition the Legislative Assembly of Ontario and urge the Premier to take action to protect consumers from the burden of high gas prices in Ontario. I'm pleased to affix my signature and send it to the table with Paige Vanessa. Thank you, Speaker.
Member for London Fanshawe.
To the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, whereas the process popularly known as declawing is actually an amputation of cat's toes that is both painful and unnecessary, whereas research has shown